Somewhere in the darkness, right before recorded history, something went terribly, terribly wrong. Not a war, not the collapse of some great empire. No, a global catastrophe. About 12,000 years ago, Earth suddenly changed, and it did so with terrifying speed. The skies might have literally burned, oceans rose up, entire species vanished forever, and whatever early humans actually witnessed during those dark years, they never forgot. Humanity has a memory problem. Because somewhere in that freezing, dark era right before recorded history, a global catastrophe completely erased a world that we just forgot. The climate collapse happened, the massive floods happened, the extinctions, they happened. But the deeper scientists look into this exact period, the more terrifying the entire story becomes. So I want you to think about this. What if humanity is not the first civilization to rise on Earth, but simply the last one left alive? Are there missing chapters of human history hidden just right out of our reach? Part 1. The crime scene, the world before the fall. Now, what's really interesting about this is to grasp the sheer magnitude of this mystery, we first have to look at the world right before the fall. 12,000 years ago, Earth was frozen, but it was actually incredibly stable. We're talking massive, towering glaciers covering huge chunks of North America and Europe. Sea levels were way, way lower than today, meaning all those regions currently buried beneath dark oceans, they were vast stretches of dry, walkable land. And for thousands of years, early humans shared this massive, unbroken world with absolute giants, woolly mammoths, massive ground sloths, and literal terror birds. But then, suddenly, everything changed. Scientists drilling deep into ancient ice cores discovered the smoking gun, evidence of one of the most violent, abrupt climate shifts ever recorded on Earth. Temperatures just crashed. And the scariest part? This massive drop didn't take thousands of years. It very likely happened within decades. Just imagine it, crops failing instantly, endless, freezing winters, violent, unnatural storms tearing across the land. To the ancient humans living through it, it would have felt exactly like the end of the world. And honestly, in a lot of ways, it was. Part 2. The suspect, fire from the sky. So what could possibly trigger a shift that violent and that instantaneous? Well, let me introduce you to the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis. This is the terrifying theory that fragments of a massive, fractured comet exploded right over Earth around 12,800 years ago, triggering continent-wide firestorms and total climate collapse. Just picture looking up into the night sky and seeing actual pieces of the heavens burning and falling toward you, shockwaves ripping the land apart, the sun completely blacked out by smoke. And this brilliantly illustrates the bizarre physical evidence left behind in the dirt. Researchers point to microscopic diamonds, massive widespread soot layers, and literally melted materials embedded deep in ancient worldwide sediment. The supporters of this theory argue, quite convincingly, that only a massive cosmic impact could generate the intense, unimaginable heat required to forge these materials. It perfectly explains the sudden climate collapse, the massive extinctions, and the rapid, brutal disruptions to early human societies. Now, to be totally fair, there is a fierce scientific debate going on right now about this. Many mainstream scientists reject the impact theory entirely. They argue that the physical evidence is inconclusive and that natural earthly systems, like massive sudden shifts in ocean currents, are more than enough to explain this sudden, deep freeze. In this explainer, we aren't taking sides. The debate is very much still raging. But here's the thing. Regardless of the exact cause, whether the fire came from the sky or the ice came from the oceans, something catastrophic undeniably happened. The ensuing devastation left a massive scar on the planet and a deep psychological scar on human memory.
Part 3. The Witnesses. The Great Flood Memory.
Let's move to the witnesses and see how this builds a really eerie picture. We have these unifying global memories preserved by scattered, completely isolated human survivors. Civilizations separated by vast oceans and entire continents somehow preserved the exact same terrifying memory. Over in ancient Mesopotamia and India, we find these incredibly detailed legends of a great flood, a totally destroyed civilization, and a tiny handful of survivors. And then, thousands of miles away in China and the Americas, the exact same stories of a previous age ended by catastrophic water. We're talking completely different people, speaking different languages, living on different continents. Yet they share the exact same horrifying theme. For a long time, historians viewed these as just, symbolic myths. But geologically speaking, We know for a fact that as the Younger Dryas period ended, the global ice sheets melted at a terrifying speed. Sea levels rose massively. Entire coastlines and countless ancient settlements disappeared beneath the ocean forever. So these aren't just symbolic myths. They are very likely the distorted, haunting memories of ancient people literally watching their world drown. Think about that. Humanity's oldest history could quite literally be lost beneath the sea.
Part 4. The Smoking Gun, the Impossible Discovery.
For decades, mainstream history has adamantly insisted that humans back then were nothing more than primitive hunter-gatherers, basically just scrambling around in the mud trying to survive the ice. But then, archaeologists found something impossible. 11,000, that is how many years ago a site in modern-day Turkey, known to the world as Göbekli Tepe, was constructed. And this one discovery absolutely shatters everything we thought we knew about human capability. We're talking massive, perfectly carved stone pillars, arranged in enormous geometric circles, weighing literally tons. It features highly sophisticated artwork and incredibly complex symbolism. The level of advanced construction here is mind-blowing. This site is thousands of years older than Stonehenge. It is older than the Egyptian pyramids. According to our firmly accepted timeline of history, primitive hunter-gatherers, barely scraping by in an ice age, were absolutely not supposed to be capable of engineering anything even remotely close to this. Which leaves us staring at a deeply, deeply disturbing question. If humans actually were capable of building monumental, incredibly complex structures this early, what else has been lost? If they could engineer Göbekli Tepe 11,000 years ago, what else is buried under the sand right now? Under the dense Amazon forests, or resting in the pitch-black depths of our oceans? It makes you realize that our historical timeline is completely, horribly incomplete.
Part 5. The Haunting Conclusion, the Warning from the Past.
So, the crucial point we have to understand is this. History has a very dangerous weakness. It disappears. Libraries burn to the absolute ground, great cities inevitably collapse into ruin, languages die and are completely forgotten, ancient coastlines simply drown beneath rising oceans. Honestly, even our modern towering skyscrapers would eventually vanish if humanity disappeared long enough. 12,000 years? That is more than enough time to erase almost anything from the face of the earth.
Today, our modern civilization feels totally indestructible, right? We feel permanent. But you have to remember, the people alive during the Younger Dryas, they probably believed their world was permanent too. History violently suggests that Earth can change in an instant. Within just a few generations, their entire world was completely gone.
These ancient stories survived, not as myths, but as warnings from people who witnessed the end of a world. The global flood myths, the terrifying legends of fire raining from the sky, the impossible ruins buried deep in the dirt, they aren't fiction. They are the desperate echoes of a traumatized species. Somewhere deep beneath the oceans, buried beneath miles of ice, hidden beneath thick layers of forgotten earth, the missing chapters of human history are still out there, just waiting to be discovered. Because maybe, just maybe, civilization did not begin where we think it did. And if we ever actually uncover the full truth, it might rewrite the entire story of humanity. Because maybe this is not the first civilization on Earth. Maybe we are only the last one to survive. Subscribe for more forgotten mysteries and terrifying moments from history, because the past is far stranger than we were taught.